Testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see what we got here. Give me a second, guys. I'm spreading the word. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, Sean, how you doing? Give me 1 second. How's things been going? Hang on real quick. Let's send this invite to, let's see here. Give me 1 second. There we go. How's everyone doing? Sorry about that. We have an ice cream man coming by. I'll wait for some more people to come in first before I even get started. Yeah, this one might not even take off the ground yet. I don't know yet. I'm going to find out. So how you been, Sean? Everyone still might, I don't know, Sundays might be a bad time to try this stuff. I don't know. I thought it would be a good time, but maybe I'm wrong. Wait for folks to come on. Hang on. This sucks. I figured more people would want to come on. Maybe my timing's just bad. Well, give them about maybe 10, give them about maybe 5, 10 more minutes. I'm just gonna go and close this one and do a video about it. I guess. I know you're just wasting time on mine or anyone else's. They don't gonna hop on. I got 2 people. Hang on here real quick. That might help. Can y'all hear me now? Anybody hear me? Hey, Carlito, what's going on, man? Glad to see you around. What's been up? Wait for a couple more people before I start jabbering about anything. Need to at least try to have a conversation with folks. Yeah, same here, man. Just relaxing. Just relaxing. Hey, I was going to say, Carlito, I'm kind of curious. Have you ever had a Bigfoot encounter? Pretty sure you have. I know you've had experience with dog, man. What about Bigfoot? I'm pretty sure the smell was bad, huh? They really stink. Really stink real bad. Okay, well, as I go and begin this, hang on real quick. I was going to say, let me wait for a couple more minutes to see if I can get some more people on. If not, I ain't going to worry about it too much. But I'm going to try to see what I can do. I'm going to try something through Reddit. I don't know if it'll work, but it's worth a shot. Person will tell me, yeah, I believe it. Let me try to see if I can get some viewers from Reddit. Like I said, if not, I'll just continue with what we got. Post on Reddit. Hang on here. Let's see. It might be a better idea if I try cross post. Bear with me, guys. Reddit. Yeah, I've heard that they stink like rotten meat and musky, basically just real awful. I've heard similar things about Dogman too, so I'm wondering. I'm almost positive there's a connection between the two. I just don't know exactly what. Here we go. Share community. Here we go. Bigfoot. I don't know what happens. It won't let me do it, but it should. Let's see what it tells me here. Okay, let me try it one more time. I'm just gonna let it go. Okay. Ain't worth all that. See, I may just have to work with what I have. Hang on. Community. Okay, Bigfoot. I'm not even gonna try this. I don't think it's gonna work. Ain't worth all that. No, I've never had any. Oh, there we go. We're starting to get people. Okay, I have never had an encounter with Bigfoot. I've never had any encounter with any cryptid that I know of. I, of course, had different paranormal things, but we're here to discuss Bigfoot's intelligence. How smart do you think these creatures are? Think they're as smart as us? I want to go ahead and ask that first. How smart do you guys think Bigfoot is? Because that's what we're here to talk about. How smart do you think these things are? Hmm? I'm trying to figure out. How smart do you think these creatures really are? I want to hear opinions before I go ahead and start speaking. I would agree. I think they're as smart as us, but in a different way. We're able to use tools, we're able to use technology, we're able to do different things. I think these creatures have evolved in a different way. They are designed to use their environment, survival, tools as well. Not like us, but they don't have to. These creatures physically are massive, very powerful. Like I said, as close to as smart as us, maybe as. It's like with Neanderthal. Those guys were, they're, might be stretching a bit, possibly. I would say definitely smart though. They're not dumb. Not dumb at all. They're definitely. I mean, hell, look at this. There was a gorilla named Coco. She was as smart, supposedly, and this is a gorilla. Okay, you're talking about something that ain't a chimpanzee, which is very smart too, but not quite as. I'm saying a gorilla's a wee bit lower on the IQ totem pole. Her name was Coco. She was able to speak sign language and or sign with language or whatever, and she had the intelligence supposedly of a human child. So that's pretty impressive in itself. I would say chimpanzees, they're even smarter. And them things are scary as hell because they are so smart. Bigfoot, I think, is if you want to go the ape route, it's a creature that probably evolved from, whatever it evolved from. It got smarter, bigger, stronger, able to blend into its surroundings. I mean, it's obviously very strong, very stealthy, like you said, very, very stealthy. Probably very fast too. It has to be. These creatures are probably just like think about it. You have. Oh yeah, chimps are vicious little bastards. I mean, vicious things. My God, very, very. And they hold a grudge too. I mean, that thing's hold a real bad grudge. They don't like you. They're going to get you. And believe me, they're capable of doing it. Here's the thing about chimpanzees. People think that they're 5 times as strong as us and all that. That's a bunch of baloney. They're not. They are slightly stronger than us, pound for pound. And it's also that unbridled aggression that they have. That's what makes it seem like they're so much stronger than they really are. Oh, make no mistake, they're pound for pound. Yes, they are stronger than we are. I want to say they're like close to a half stronger than a normal human being. But that's just neither here nor there. Just saying. Yeah, chimpanzees are quite they're much stronger than us. That is true. And yes, they are very, very, very dangerous. Vicious little things. Hang on here. Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to see something on YouTube also. Kind of just viewing through StreamYard is difficult and it's tedious at best of times. So I'm having to kind of go both routes here. Very familiar with that one. Travis and chimpanzee. Animal, damn thing killed a lot of people. I mean, it killed one person. It almost killed one person. It ripped that lady's face off. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Travis was his name. He had no business having that thing as a pet because it ain't meant for that. It's like, that's crazy. Sorry, but that's just stupidity. It's like, hang on, guys. Crazy. There we go. Sorry about that. I needed to see who I'm looking at and what I'm dealing with here. I'm on a slow laptop, so okay, that's cool. Excellent. But yeah, anyway, what I was saying is, yeah, you're right. Jim's name was Travis, and he tore his owner. I want to say it was not his owner, but it was his owner's best friend. Ripped her face right off. It was horrible. Oh, that's just available. Yeah, I mean that's just insane. Why the hell would someone even want to mess with something like that? And he was obviously smart enough to cause. I mean, he was actually smart enough to retreat and go back to his cage where he died. The thing is, that's in itself. I mean, I think a Bigfoot would be at least maybe twice as smart as a chimpanzee. Anyway, I mean, I'm just saying these things are very smart. From things I've heard and people I've talked with, these creatures are very good at stealth. They even have a language. I mean, it's like the samurai chatter you hear. You said you heard. I mean, I'm almost positive these things can speak, probably as well as us, if not better, just in their own way. These creatures are able to speak. Most primates can't. Most of them, yeah, they can scream. They understand what we're saying. They can scream. They can make a real big mess when it comes to sound, but they cannot speak. Bigfoot, I believe, firmly can. So that already puts it beyond an ape. These things are able to speak. They speak among themselves. Oh, definitely. These creatures, look up a man named Lloyd Pye. He has some very interesting theories on the way he calls hominoids. The man's been dead for several years now. I had the pleasure of actually talking to him through YouTube in the comments years ago. Very brilliant man. But anyway, cancer got him. But anyway, I'll get to the point. He had a theory about different types of hominoids. Of course, that's being Bigfoot and other similar types of creatures. Yeti, Yaren, whatever you want to call them. These things, they are in a different niche than us. They have developed different than us. I personally believe we're not even necessarily of this world. The Bible itself says, we are made in the Creator's image and not like the rest of things here. So there's something with that. There's some truth to what his theory was. And the thing is, he would always say, these creatures, you're talking about territory and their element. These creatures would, how can I say this the best way to make sense? They would stay in areas that we could not reach because, especially if we were competing with these creatures for food sources and all this, one on one, of course, they'd rip us limb from limb. I mean, think about it. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand a chance. But we're like a pack of hyenas, a very intelligent pack of hyenas, ripping up everything we touch. So I'm pretty sure these creatures were driven deeper into the woods, into the cave systems, into the mountains. That's what I think personally. That's my theory. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm no expert. Hell, I've never even seen one. I'm no expert. Anyone who says they are an expert's full of it. Sorry, that's how it is. Now, there are some that are closer to experts than, many of us, but you know what I mean. My point is this. These creatures were, I believe, firmly driven to areas that we would not normally inhabit or normally could not inhabit. Naturally, they're bigger, stronger, and as smart as us, if not more so in their own way. Probably are able to get food sources and different things easier than us, where we could not hunt there or whatever. They can survive in more unstable climate or whatever. My point is this: it's only natural that they would, of course, not just adapt; they would master their element, and they would thrive there. Where, of course, I mean, think about it. Ain't none of us really. I mean, unless you have a survivalist or some guys who were trained. I mean, I know a couple of guys who were, but me personally, I don't know too many who are trained to literally, live in the woods, without some kind of help. I mean, or survival. That's a very hard thing to do, man. Let me tell you, living off the grid is not easy to do at all. It's very difficult. I've had to do it for a couple of parts of my life, but it was mainly after a disaster or something like that. I've never had to do it long term, and believe me, it's difficult to do. I mean, hell, just being without normal conveniences. I mean, there was a hurricane that hit several years ago. I want to say it was Hurricane Ike, I think. So you're talking about at least 15 or more years, I think, in my life, right? So I mean, when that happened, we were without power, we were without everything, and we were screwed. And I was able to, with the last of the money I had, I was able to get us a generator, which actually kept us halfway okay for a short period of time till the lights come back on. But that's beside the point. It's hard to do. No human being could do it for long term unless they really had knowledge, like of our ancestors. And even then, it was difficult for them. Is my point. So you're talking about situations where people, how can I say is the best way? You're talking about situations where people normally just couldn't do this. These creatures, yeah, I was in Houston during that period of time. It was not fun. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Actually, I think what I want to say was I think it was an '08. Hang on here. I think it was an '08, but I could be wrong. Hang on. I was wrong here. Yeah, but anyway, I want to say it was an '08. That's beside the point. Hang on, guys. I'll be right back. Gotta do something real fast. There we go. Damn, I think it was going out. Hell, there we go. Sorry. There we go. Now this should work. My luck, I'll set myself on fire, but let's not go there. Okay. Also, I want to talk about their language. What exactly do you think their language consists of? People say it's samurai chatter and all that. Of course, his howls. I think these creatures have vocal cords that are beyond ours. They can manipulate things. They can, how can I say this? What I mean by things is sound. They can manipulate sound. Uh, Everyone heard of infrasound? I definitely believe they can do that. I think these creatures, their senses may even to a degree revolve around sound. Not like echolocation, but something maybe in its own way. I don't know. Because everything is based on vibration. Existence is based on vibration. So I'm thinking these creatures, I think that part of their intelligence really revolves around their vocalization abilities. They have, I'm just saying, they can scream so powerfully that people have said they heard their insides literally shake. And it literally instilled an abnormal amount of fear that most people don't have. That's not normal. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. They also can speak in pitches that we can't hear. So it's only natural their senses are beyond ours because obviously it'd be like, hey, me like saying, hey, and of course, or maybe one of them saying, hey, how you doing? And of course, we're like, huh? Because we ain't heard nothing. So yeah, exactly. I think these creatures naturally talk within their own range of senses, just like us. I mean, it's just how it is. So I mean, I think that's nothing abnormal or really paranormal. It's just how things are with their adaptation. But yeah, definitely, I think they have some other abilities. Like I said, they can terrify people. They can actually make people. It's almost like I've heard of stories where encounters where they would literally make a person almost forget where they were. It's like literally, yeah, it's like like literally it almost like hypnotizes people, and it's like basically stuns them a little bit, and then of course the Bigfoot goes away or whatever, and that's it. So therefore, I think it's also a method of offense and defense. I think it's potentially a weapon with these guys. Maybe even in a way. Mhm. Possibly. Well, the thing is, I'm not so well. I wouldn't be surprised on that because these creatures, I think, they're diurnal, which means I think they can be diurnal or nocturnal. They can be either one. So basically, these creatures get around pretty well at night. I think that's mainly when they do most of their foraging, but also during the day somewhat too. These creatures they're very intelligent. They're capable of moving very quickly. I was I remember one time I was listening to some lady's podcast, and she had a very interesting thing. She said that supposedly this is literally traveling 60 miles. Supposedly she had gotten the attention of a family of Bigfoot, and she's claimed to live around them. Now, that's whether you believe it or not is up to you. My point is this: what she said made sense, though. These creatures followed her like 60 miles within a matter of a day. Now, of course, you're thinking, how the hell can a person do that? But a creature like this probably does it on a regular basis. Probably could do it without even thinking twice. I mean, you're talking about a beast that's probably on average, between 10 to 12 foot tall, weighs half a ton, if not more. I mean, you're talking about literally a creature that could go against probably a polar bear or a grizzly and rip it limb from limb. It wouldn't do that because it risks hurting itself, and an injured animal in the wild doesn't make it. But the fact is, these creatures are. I'm just saying, there's some physical stuff to them. It's not just about how smart they are; it's also about how strong they are and their senses. They can definitely see better at night than we can. They can definitely hear better. Yeah, I definitely believe they can see things on the spectrum that we can't. I'm not sure about colors because here's something else to think about. The owl. Yeah, I think it's owls. Owls are actually, of course, they're naturally adapted to nighttime sight. That's how they mainly get their prey and all that. But there's something else people don't know. They only see in black and white because it's cones that allow people to see in color. Now, I don't know if Bigfoot or any variant has that situation, but if they're a primate, which they are, they probably definitely see in color. I'm pretty sure they do. They're just better adapted for it. So, I mean, I think if I remember right, gorillas and chimpanzees can see. Well, gorillas don't have good eyesight at all, I don't think. Chimpanzees do, I think. If I remember right, their eyesight's as good as ours or close. But my point is this: I mean, you're talking about a creature that is definitely adapted for beyond that. So I also believe they have their own belief systems. I'm not going to say religion, but I definitely believe they have something going on with that. There's something that they have a faith on. Chimpanzees seem to. And hell, you see these creatures when it comes to chimps, them things build structures like rock structures and anything. They don't really know what they're building it for. They just leave them there, almost like a cairn or something. It's very interesting, to say the least. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's like with these tree structures that Bigfoot sets up. I think, of course, it's a warning. I mean, think about it. I mean, how powerful do you have to be to rip literally a full-size tree from the ground, turn it upside down, and shove it right back down? That right there is obviously a warning for something, but I also think maybe it's something else. A lot of these tree structures, I think, might be something different. I think these tree structures might be some kind of attempt to, whatever their faith might be, maybe it's a shrine of some sort, is what I'm saying. Now, I think a lot of them are, of course, like, a lot of the branches and stuff that are arranged everywhere. I think a lot of that may be shelter or markers for them, for them, for each other to communicate, just like with people. We do similar things. I think we stumble upon them. I think they use those markers to communicate with each other, and maybe even in some ways structures for, shelter and all that stuff. But I think that a lot of that stuff they put is possibly in reverence to something. That right there proves some serious intelligence, especially among higher thinking creatures. That right there really confirms to me how smart these things are. If you know what I mean. I did a short video about how smart Dogman was, but this one I felt deserved a little bit more time. If you know what I mean. Yeah, we finally got some visitors in here. But what do you think, King Wiz? You've been speaking. What do you think? You think these creatures have some kind of faith-based system? Hmm? Anybody? I've been blathering for the better part of a few minutes. I want to hear what other people have to say, other than me. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. What do you think, Carlito? You think they have some kind of belief system? All right. Well, I think that these creatures also use tools. I almost know so, actually. There's been, of course, you have the tree knocking and all that. That's, I think, communication. But also, there have been records of those things, that kind of activity, them knocking with branches and stuff against trees as a way to hurt, like maybe they see an animal and they're trying, of course, it's dinner time and, they see maybe a deer or some other prey animal is like, hey, let's go ahead and, they're not going to be dumb enough to try to take it on their own. I mean, physically, they probably could. But that's also silly. They're risk hurting themselves. They're smart. They're not going to do that. So what they're going to do probably is work together, just like chimpanzees do, or maybe even more like us. Like a tribe of human beings working together to hunt something. They distract it with maybe sounds or whatever, and you have maybe another one come behind and they get it. I mean, there's been stories of these creatures, of course, grabbing a deer and snapping its neck, as it grabs the antlers and pops its neck, or grabbing it by the hindquarters and slinging it into a rock or a tree, killing it. I mean, I'm pretty sure, that was all done by surprise. It wasn't done straight up, right up front. That's kind of not how a successful hunter works. And these creatures, I believe, are very successful at what they do. Definitely. Yes. Also, Bigfoot doesn't. I mean, I think there's different variants. Like you have the Googly and the Janasqua. Yeah, them things are claws, but I mean, most of them don't. So they have to work with tools. But yeah, they have immense strength, but at the same time, you're dealing with something with antlers or something else that can get you real good, or hooves. They have to be careful with that, or teeth. They're not dumb. Of course, Dogman's an entire other kettle of fish. Those creatures have naturally built weapons, and those things too are smart. They hunt in the tree. Hell, them things will hunt in the trees. They'll hell even hunt, under a certain clearing or whatever. And like I said, those things are smart too. But again, you're talking about more of an animal kind of intelligence, a very sharp, scary intelligence. But I think you're dealing with more of a, like I said, a little more of a canid type approach to something than a primate. And yes, I think they have their own communication too. But Bigfoot is what we're talking about. My point is, I think that Bigfoot definitely uses tools in its hunting. No, oh hell no, ain't no way in hell a human being can catch a deer running. This ain't gonna happen. They're definitely much better hunters than us. Actually, that's kind of a matter of debate. It depends on how people are. It's a matter of how you hunt. We tend to, like, when it comes to physical, naturally gifted hunters. Oh hell yeah, hands down. But when it comes to us, we have this. I'm not saying we're smarter or better, and we're not. My point is that we're different. We hunt in a different way. We usually, even back in the day, we'd use bow and arrow, we'd use slings, spears, things like that. I'm just saying we had to kind of be more of a low key, if you know what I'm saying. Ain't no way in hell anyone's going to catch a deer running. This ain't happening. But something like that definitely could. I think they have to. I think they have to a limited extent. Very much so in some ways. I think they avoid each other for the most part. But you have to understand one thing. A lot of time, that's a very good question. And this is something I'm going to tell you right now. I think they have to now. Because as human beings expand our territory and as we, cut into their forests and their places to live, animals, I'll give you an example. There's a new hybrid animals that are being found, like a growler bear. This is up in North America, like in the north, like in Canada and Alaska and all that. You're dealing with grizzlies and polar bears now breeding with each other because their territories are overlapping. So you're dealing with literally new species of creatures. Hell, look at the coil wolf. That's another example. So yeah, I'm not saying they're breeding with each other. No. I'm just saying that they have to definitely live around each other. An example, of course, might be a hyena and a lion. Of course, that's been a competition as old as time. I'm just using that kind of as an example. I'm saying it's natural for, let's say, a grizzly and, let's say, a mountain lion, or better yet, like in I want to say in parts of Asia, you have Asiatic brown bears. They're big animals, massive creatures. They can almost get as big as a Kodiak bear. And of course, you have them big old Siberian tigers. They cohabitate. Sometimes they even eat each other. It might have to be. Like I said, it might be forced. I think potentially also the mental, and also I think a lot of that, what people are seeing may not be actually what's natural. You got to remember, people, when we think on something, we almost have a collective mind when it comes to that. When a lot of people binge this kind of content, like even that I'm putting out right now, people are going to be projecting things. I think a lot of that is people are sitting together or whatever. Could be, is possibly the first one I talked about. Definitely a possibility. But I think also people are projecting what they're wanting to see out there. Now, I could be wrong. And a lot of the stuff, them stories people put out, many of them, I'm not going to like to call people liars. I actually refuse to do that. But a lot of that is better known as not the most truthful. Now, are there some stories of them out there doing this? Yeah, of course, you better believe it. I mean, there's reputable sources I've talked to. I mean, believe me, there's no doubt. But I'm just saying, I think it's kind of a mixture of different things going on with that. I think they definitely do cohabitate because in a lot of ways, when it comes from the natural point of view, they don't have a choice. But I think also a lot of things that are being seen are what we're wanting to see. That's all I'm saying. And of course, you have a lot of people who are very good storytellers and they want everything they tell stories about to believe are true. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But yes, I definitely do believe that they are together. I'm not so sure about a new norm, though. To me, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying, I'm wondering, just like I said, we have a wild imagination. I admit I do. You guys have read my stuff. You guys have listened to my stuff. Y'all should know. But I'm just saying, I know better than to let it get carried away and go into fantasy to facts. I'm just saying, I could be wrong. Some people they exaggerate, is my point. We all do by nature if we care. but it's definitely possible. And I think, again, like I said before, when territories, shrink, you have different competition for food and resources. It's only natural. I've definitely heard many stories about that, about these kind of situations, and they're usually not friendly. However, I've also heard where they sometimes have to work together. I do believe they cohabitate to a degree. I'm not necessarily on the fence, but I do believe it's somewhat to a degree. Hell, here's the thing: when it comes to dogman, for example, and when it comes to dogman, you hear there's certain tribes of these things that don't hardly move around at all. If there's some that migrate on a regular basis throughout this country, all the way from Alaska, all the way down to the Mississippi, all the way down to the border, all the way down through South America. These things literally, they follow the waterways. And these two, many times these tribes of dogmen sometimes will work together, but usually they just leave each other alone. Especially the stationary ones. But I also have heard of at times, again, you tell me with two very intelligent. Bigfoot is damn sure sentient. We know this. As for Dogman, there's something there. I wouldn't be surprised if it's sentient as well. You're talking about potentially two sentient creatures. They compete against each other, I'm pretty sure, but sometimes they've had to work together too. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, think about it. There's even been stories of different types of dolphins. I mean, dolphins are vicious bastards. They usually kill anything which ain't working, which ain't connected to them. When it comes to other intelligent animals that are smaller, but there have been stories of them working with porpoises and things like that to get food, especially when times are scarce. Something to think about. I definitely do believe it's possible they work together, but I think mainly there's natural enemies, like a dog and a cat. I mean, it just ain't going to happen. And hell, look at lions and hyenas. Those things are both of them are naturally masterful hunters. They have different techniques. Of course, both. The thing is, I mean, like I said, they're both masterful at what they do. I mean, of course, they're all actually people don't think this, but I'm gonna let you know, hyenas ain't dogs. They're closer to the cat. So basically, you're talking about potentially two feline species. You think, no, they kill each other on sight. But I don't believe it's necessarily that blind hatred that Dogman and Bigfoot have with each other. I think they just want to leave each other alone. And it's also very well known that there's still more Sasquatch sightings than Dogman. So even if a Dogman is stronger than a Bigfoot, one-on-one, because natural weaponry, not necessarily because of physical strength, but them things work together. And I've heard of two or three Sasquatch ripping a Dogman apart when they get it alone. So I mean, I'm just saying, it's not worth in their minds. It probably ain't worth fighting each other. They just leave each other alone for the most part. That's how it is. I also believe that Bigfoot has been. How can I say this? I was watching a show. I was watching a podcast a long time ago, not too long ago, maybe a few days ago. It was about. I want to say it was some kind of historian from India or in that area about supposedly these ape people or monkey people fighting against the giants. I could be wrong on this. Don't quote me to the bank on this. So that's interesting in itself. And you're thinking of monkey people. Well, the thing is, usually a lot of the drawings that depict these kind of things are recent. They're not like back in the day. But supposedly they were called wild men that would fight these big monsters. And these supposed wild men were hairy, powerful, bigger than us, smart. Something to think about. I'm just saying. That proves their intelligence right there. I mean, these creatures have been considered literally their own tribes. These things have been around as long as us, not longer. I think they've evolved right beside us. Yes, I think they're very smart. And I also think they probably have ancient rights as well as connections to things just like us. They definitely have how can I say this? I think there's definitely some kind of, when it comes to Bigfoot, I think there's several varieties. Of course, you have different species, of course, naturally, like anything else. Number two, I think there's also interdimensional creatures or entities that try to pass off as Bigfoot. And maybe that is what Bigfoot is. I don't know. I definitely think as a result of this, there are different types and different origins for different creatures that seem to have a similar appearance. I think Bigfoot is just too simple a term to describe a lot of stuff that we just don't understand. I think that I'm just saying, and if you look at it from a human point of view, of course, these creatures, if they're that smart, they're definitely going to have their own knowledge of magic. They're going to have their own knowledge of faith, their own knowledge of ritual, and the ability to make their own environment work for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they have all that. I'm just saying, just a thought. I wouldn't be surprised if they have, some of these creatures, maybe certain variants of them, may even have understanding of technology. Do I think most of them need it? No, obviously not, because there's no need for it. That'd be more our shtick than anything else. But I do believe that there is something going on with that, no doubt in my mind. But that's just how it is. That's just neither here nor there. So, what do you guys think of when it comes to Bigfoot's intelligence? If y'all have any ideas that I've left out, I'd love to know. Maybe I've been blathering quite a bit now. I'd like to hear some of y'all's opinions. Hang on real quick. Also, I want to help a boy out to try to get to. I have a dental appointment I need to get to. I have to make a first visit kind of payment kind of thing. Hang on. Get my cash out here. Who's this? There we go. Cash App. PayPal. That's my PayPal, or it should be. So if someone wants to send me 10, $15, it'd be appreciated, so I can get it. It'll just help me out. Like I said, I got to get some teeth yanked back here yanked, and unfortunately, there's a slight copay I have to get. Just letting y'all know, it'll be appreciated. But anyway, okay. So I'm also thinking to myself, what else could prove their intelligence? Well, obviously, their ability to work together. These creatures are very much tribe or pack hunters. They live together. You hear about certain ones being seen by themselves, but a lot of times just as much, if not more, you hear them being in groups. It means they have a family hierarchy. I wouldn't be surprised if they have it similar to whether it be us or other primates. You always have an alpha usually, or a silverback or whatever. He leads the others or whatever. I'm pretty sure they have similar familiar structure. Especially if they're smart like us, they probably, and they're evolved similar to us. They probably have a similar society. Probably, like a matriarch, an alpha. Children. Those who watch after the children. That kind of thing. Let's see what's up here. That was important. But anyway. I'm just thinking these creatures have just just have different types of. Let me see here. My only doubt is, why do some Bigfoot let people get close to them to run up on them without Bigfoot detecting them until it's too late? Well, I think there's something going on with that. I think that they. I'll be honest. They're like, these creatures are not infallible. They can be tricked. If they're anything like us, they can be so focused on something they get surprised. They're able to cover their tracks and they're able to move around real quick. But I also think this is where the conspiracy theory in me comes out. I think a lot of times that we ain't seen them is because Uncle Sam don't want us to see them. Think about it. I brought this up multiple times. Okay, let's say, let's say one day, you're on the news. Yes, Bigfoot exists. Yeah, we have a 10-foot monster, or big, some big, massive, hairy beast. Yeah, it's known. These things live in the woods. It's all good, man. I appreciate that. No worries. Anyway, what I was saying is, what I'm telling you is this. if if it was known, that we had this big, massive creature that's obviously smart, living in the woods, and maybe even responsible for vanishings of people, or worse, dinner. I mean, I'm just saying, it's just my point is, you have an alpha predator or creature like this that's known to live in the woods. The forestry industry, the lumber industry, camping industry, all that shit goes out the window, goes straight to hell. I mean, we're talking in a rocket, not just kind of in a handbasket. We're talking just, you basically have our economy cut off at the knees. It's like, yeah, no, 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 no. It's like quite literally the castration of our economy. You think it's bad now? You ain't seen nothing yet. You'd have there's all kinds of chaos. You'd have people trying to bag one. And of course, these creatures are dangerous. I mean, you're talking about like a lot of loss of life on both sides. You're just talking about a real bleeping mess. So naturally, ain't no one gonna want to if you're anyone in charge, you ain't gonna want the people to find out about these creatures. So naturally, anyone who actually finds one is either silenced or said, or basically said, "Hey, go, we'll leave you alone as long as you say, let's say it was a bear. Hey, not a problem. All right, man, we're gonna be checking up on you. You better keep to your word. There's gonna be problems. You see what I'm saying?" Or someone who's got a bigger mouth, they're like, "Oh, okay, go ahead and take them over there, put two in their head, same with the family and their dog." I agree with that. I think some do. It's not crazy at all. I actually believe that very firmly. That's why I think I brought up rituals and magic, and maybe even innate abilities that these things may have. I don't think all of them have it, but I think some do. I've talked to more than one person that says that these creatures can quote unquote spirit walk, which literally is like think of there's a game called Werewolf the Apocalypse that I played in the past. It's there's this one thing that your main character can do if you're a werewolf that can step sideways into the umbra, which is literally vanishing from the mind's eye or human senses. So I mean, it's literally something with that. I do believe that some are capable of definitely doing that. Sorry about that. That's just my neighbors. But yeah, definitely something's up with that. That ain't crazy at all. I agree with you. 100% actually. These things are definitely capable of crossing dimensions. At least some of them are. Or at least maybe even able to, because of their vocalization abilities, they might be able to trick the mind's eye, maybe bend light around themselves. Also, their fur may be like that of polar bears. When you think about it, they can possibly refract light or whatever when they turn a certain direction or step into a certain shadow or a certain set of lighting, is what I'm trying to say. And they literally vanish from the mind's eye. So they may not literally be crossing dimensions, they just may be using camouflage. Polar bears are known to do this, actually. They blend perfectly in their surroundings, but people don't know this. Their fur is actually black. That's right, they have black fur. It's just that they have something in their fur that refracts light. It allows them to blend perfectly in the snow. So go ahead and, figure that one out. Possibly the same thing with Dogman. But I do believe that Bigfoot has a very powerful spiritual connection. I think Dogman does too, just in a different, more primal way. I do definitely believe that they can cross over in some way. Also, I mean, there's something like with the sightings of UFOs around Bigfoot too. There's something going on with that. I don't know if that's. I don't know. I can't explain it because I don't know. I've had UFO sightings, just one actually that I can recall, and believe me, it was interesting in itself. But I've put that out before. I know he's going into that again. My point is this: there's a connection. There's definitely something without a doubt. Let's see here. Hang on. Bear with me. I'm just trying to see where everybody is here. All right. But yeah, definitely. I'm not going to be on here much longer, but I'd like to have a couple more opinions before I go ahead and go off. What do you think contributes to Bigfoot being so smart? other than going through portals, definitely possibility. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you have ley lines, you have ley lines throughout the forests that we wouldn't even be able to comprehend. Number one, number two, you also have, like I said, I think they have abilities that we would not understand. I would not be surprised if there's some kind of portals that they know about and can cross through. Yeah, definitely, especially the more intelligent variants. Yes, definitely. I mean, hell, I'll give an example. The damn Janasqua. Those things were back in the day. There were, of course, there's old native stories about them. These creatures supposedly didn't just have the ability to, they weren't as big and had claws and sharp teeth. And of course, they ate people. They still do, probably. But at the same time, I think they had access to powerful weapons. I could be wrong on that. It wasn't just some big, hairy monster. So, yeah, I definitely believe that there are certain variants of these things that are very intelligent, very malevolent or benevolent, maybe both. And you definitely have a connection to portals and things like that. Yes, I definitely believe they can cross through portals. There's something there with that. But these creatures are still, if they're what I think they might be, they're still fallible. So that would explain why people walk up on these creatures. Yeah, they maybe have their head up their butt for a moment and, oh shit, gotta go. And sometimes some just don't give a shit. I think some, they're just like, okay, you see me, what are you gonna do about it? And they just move around their merry way. They realize he's not a threat, he ain't gonna say nothing, they ain't gonna believe him anyway. What's gonna happen? Nothing. Sorry about all the background noise, man, I can't help that. Bear with me a minute. Yeah, yes, I definitely do. And there's one more thing I'm going to say before I go ahead and get out of here. People don't know this. Neanderthal, if you compare Neanderthal brain to our brain, their brain is definitely different, but it's also bigger. Yeah, Neanderthal's brain is bigger than ours. I'm not saying they're smarter. Most likely, definitely not the case. But I'm not going to say they're dumber either. Yeah. So I definitely think that Bigfoot, probably, even if it has a similar type of brain. Hang on, guys. Let me see something. Thanks, man. That'll help me out quite a bit. Thank you so much. Believe me, I appreciate that. That will definitely help me get that dentist paid for more than you think. I appreciate that a lot. Okay, what question you got? I can try to answer it. Can't promise nothing, but I'll try. Okay. Same here. Hold on, let's see what he was wanting to ask. Then I'll go ahead and go forward. Bear with me, guys. I'm prone to headaches. Been prone to them most of my life, so I'm fighting one. That's a good question. I think I know where you're going with this. Neanderthals are not bigger than us. They were stockier than us, stronger, definitely. But pound for pound, we were about. Really? That's one thing I was never taught in school. I was always taught that there were, maybe this is a little bit of crap. I forgot the term. Crap. My brain went south. It's not the Pandora effect. Well, you know what I'm talking about. No, maybe your experience is different than mine. I remember they were always taught that they're not smaller. That's a bunch of whoever told you they're smaller is full of it. Shorter, yes, but they were heavier, stockier, and much stronger. They were never smaller. Yeah, that Mandela effect. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, definitely. But I think very firmly that what I was always taught is that they were shorter than us, but not bigger. But what I mean by bigger is think about this. Think of one comic character, Logan Wolverine. He kind of almost fit the description. He's like 5'3", almost 5 foot nothing, right? And he weighs 300 pounds. Yeah, with the metal, of course, in him. But even without the metal, he was like 200 pounds. That's he's short and big. Of course, that's a fantasy character. But my point is, I think that when it comes to that, I think it's kind of like that. Shorter than us, but just big. I'm not going to say they were taller than us because that wasn't the case. They were just powerfully built. And there's another caveman that was. He was known as Gigantus, not Gigantopithecus. It was another one. It was called Goliath, is what it was called. He was another variant in Africa. And they were about the same intelligent as Neanderthals. They were big. That's what I remember reading. I remember watching that on a show. They were massive creatures. These guys were, they were like 6.5 to 7 foot, just big. And yes, they were cavemen. They had intelligence and they had cave paintings and all that shit. They had all that stuff. But it wasn't Neanderthal. It was something else very similar. But I know what you're talking about. No, this creature was about 7 foot. I want to say it was called something Goliath. And yeah, they were big animals. They weren't animals, they were people. They were big. I'm not going to disrespect no sentient creature like that. They were big people. They were big people. And they had evolved in that way because you got to remember temperatures weren't quite so hot back then. They had, they naturally could, adapt and generate more body heat, and they were larger anyway to hunt larger animals. It was. Let me tell you something. I'm going to go ahead and enlighten you on something about that. It was. I believe that. Let me tell you something. I saw on YouTube a video. It was a video. This young man was very smart about how he did this. He got some fish. They were, if I remember right, some pacu piranha fish. They're harmless, but they're still in the piranha family. He got some pacu or something like that, and they're naturally big. Them things are naturally big anyway. He replicated that environment artificially, and then fish blew up like you wouldn't believe. I mean, my God, they're freaking huge. I've never seen anything like that. Huge. So yes, I definitely believe that has something to do with it. Because here's the thing. Let me explain that to you. The Earth is expanding, okay? Back then, you had all the continents in a lot of ways locked together, and gravity was a wee bit different. I mean, we would still be able to function just fine back then. I'm pretty sure if you send one of us back in time, we ain't going to die, okay? But I definitely believe that we'd definitely be like, wow, this is a little different. And, of course, the flora and the fauna would be pretty terrifying. My point is this. Animals naturally were bigger back then because of a lot of different types of affairs. You had one mammal that was 20 tons. It was like a giant rhino. It was huge. I mean, this thing was as big as any dinosaur. Yes, I mean, also Cro-Magnon. The average size of a Cro-Magnon. If you put one of them boys in a suit, you wouldn't recognize the difference because they practically were us, if you know what I'm saying. Just hang on. Oh, come on. Be right back. Anyway, those things practically were us, and they were big compared to us. They were like an average of 6 foot. And also, another thing which really led to that was they were hunter-gatherers. As in, human beings started shrinking quite a bit once we became sedentary and started eating mainly vegetables and plants and farming. Because all that protein and stuff we weren't getting like we used to. So naturally, people shrunk. I'm not saying we became inferior. We were every bit as smart as we were before. But we were smaller. We didn't have to be so big and massive anymore. It's only recently that, I'll give you an example. Like only recently, actually, the people have started growing bigger and taller again because, our diets are more protein rich and all that. Of course, now it's all going to shit. You have people that are more 6 foot wide than tall, but you know what I mean. And the thing is, that's all by design. I'm not dissing anyone who's, big or heavy or anything. That's just how it is. I'm a big guy myself. My point is this, that a lot of that has to do with the environment as well as how the diet is what I'm saying. It's only natural. Yeah, things back then would be larger, stronger. Everybody's smart. It's different. Yeah, people were definitely larger back then. We did not come from no doubt. That's a very good question. Now, this is where my faith comes in. Okay, I mean, people might not agree with me, and I can respect that. I can remember that. But here's the thing. Good question. No, I do not think we became from Gigantopithecus. Again, I don't think we're really of this world. I wouldn't be surprised if there are other creatures that definitely developed from Gigantopithecus. and I think it's possible. But I think personally that Gigantopithecus was more of an orangutan. It was a very big primate, but it was still an ape, if you know what I'm saying. Bigfoot is beyond an ape. That's what I'm saying. I think maybe they developed from the Goliath or the Neanderthal. I think these creatures developed in that respect and simply evolved, kind of like more sideways than forward or back, if you know what I mean. A lot of people think Gigantopithecus maybe is Bigfoot. It's possible. Maybe there's certain variants that is true. But these things seem to be too smart. That's all I'm saying. These creatures seem to be just way too intelligent to be an ape, if you know what I'm saying. I don't believe they're just mere apes. I don't believe that at all. I believe they're closer, really more to us than I would admit. Also, I myself have seen I'm not going to put a lot of stuff out there because of what I do, but I've seen some very interesting things. And also, I've seen some very interesting photographs. And one of the ones I saw about maybe a year or so ago, it was a hairy man. It was a supposed juvenile that had been stuffed and mounted actually in a store. But this was a hairy man. It was a man. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying there was it wasn't primal. Yeah, very much so. But, this was a man that I saw. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I was looking at a man or a young variant of whatever this was. Most primates have, they've adapted differently than us. Many of them have their neck muscle. Another thing is people don't understand about primates. I think Bigfoot may be the same. Us as human beings, our rib cages are shaped like this. Like an ape or a real massive creature like that, they're even Neanderthals. Their rib cage is more like this to handle all that muscle mass. If you know what I'm saying. Neanderthal wasn't quite as extreme as, let's say, a gorilla or a chimp, but there was something going on with that. That's all I'm saying. So I'm just saying, I think that there's definitely something up with that as well. I think personally, though, that I'm just saying, but the facial features is what I'm trying to get at. What I saw was a man. Normally you have a gorilla, or a chimp. Their noses are pushed up, where you can see the flaps of their nostrils even when you're looking at them. This was not the case. This was like I said, a man with a face almost like mine, but hairy and big, muscular, just big, very big. That's all I can say. There's a hairy variant of us that is. I'm pretty sure there's others that are closer to that, maybe Gigantopithecus, but the couple of ones I've really seen that seemed very true, they seem more like us. That's all I'm saying. There's one that was very interesting. It's about a guy that supposedly sees a white one, yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. You look at the genetics of people. There's different types. That's another thing. Not everyone came from Neanderthals. I believe that there's different types of variants for different types of Homo sapien. I believe that many of our ancestors are slightly. I'm not going to say our ancestors, but maybe Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm not going to be on here much longer. Like I said, I have a headache, but I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know. I think that there's definitely a possibility. There's different variants and different nationalities of these creatures. Yeah, of course. They've definitely adapted to their environment. Hell, you have there's so many variants of these things. You have like up north in Alaska and the north, like the Northwest and all that. You have big, massive, hairy creatures. Down here in the South, they're mostly smaller. They're bigger than us, but they're smaller, and more like closer to that of a chimpanzee in some ways of appearance. You have others that, like in China, that vary all over the place. You have some in South America that, again, are closer to the ones in the South. You have the Yeti, which is supposedly one of the biggest of them all, but we're talking about big like the Googly and the Genasqua. I'm just saying, you get all kinds of stuff. You have the Yeren, you have the Yamasee, and those, again, they're described as hairy men, especially in Russia. They're described as hairy people. Also, look up one, I can't remember the exact story, but it was a bunch of villagers. Anyway, there's a deal with villagers. They captured one female. They made her a slave in more ways than one, which I think is disgusting, but hey, whatever. But that is also morally disgusting. But anyway, they also described her as, I think there was even photos. She was supposedly from Africa, hairy, a hairy person, a hairy person. That's all I can say. So no, I don't think these creatures necessarily come from apes. I don't think they're connected like that. I'm gonna have to go ahead and, like I said, this is just getting too much. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to sign it off right here, man. But I'm glad of those who came, and I appreciate everyone who cooperated. Believe me, this was a very good show. Very good show. Yeah, sorry, Sheldon and Don. I just had to stop you. I'm sorry, man. It's just y'all came in right at the ass into this one. But I appreciate everybody and contributing and the ideas that they passed on. This, I think, will be one of my better videos. All right, man. Appreciate it, man. All right, man. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. You guys be blessed and be safe. I'll be doing another one soon.